Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we turn confusing corporate speak into something you can actually understand. Today we're diving into a recent report from Vireo Growth Inc. And let me tell you, this one's got more twists and turns than a cannabis farm after a hurricane. Get ready for some financial gymnastics. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below. Scrollers of report date of earliest event reported 10th to July 7, 2025, Vireo Growth Inc. told the SEC about some big changes. This report is like a financial roller coaster filled with new loans and debt refinancing. We're going to break down what it all means in simple terms. First up, Vireo Growth got a new loan called the First Lien Term Loan. It's basically a big chunk of borrowed money. On July 7, 2025, Vireo Growth Inc. shook hands on a loan and security deal, which took effect on July 3, 2025. This involves a bunch of Vireo's smaller companies acting as borrowers, along with guarantors. East West Bank is playing the role of the main manager or administrative agent, alongside Western Alliance Bank as a co-manager. The company is borrowing $120 million. They'll also start paying it back in smaller amounts of $3 million every 3 months, beginning on December 31, 2025, until June 30, 2020, 2028. After this time, whatever is left must be paid back by July 31, 2028. This loan has an interest rate that floats according to the 1-month average financing rate, but not below 3%, plus an extra 4% each year. If Vireo messes up and can't pay, the interest rate could jump up by an extra 2%. To make sure they get their money back, the lenders have first dibs on pretty much everything Vireo owns, including real estate and the company's investments in its smaller branches. Scroll, the First Lien Term Loan contains a number cross-off event of default. Scroll. This loan has a lot of rules for what would happen if Vireo can't pay it back. For example, not paying on time, breaking promises, not being able to pay debts, or big legal issues that cost over $3 million could be bad news and trigger event of default. A major issue that hurts the business could also trigger events of default. A major issue that hurts the business could also trigger events of default. A major issue that hurts the business could also trigger events of default. A major issue that hurts the business could also trigger events of default. Also, if the government finds out that Vireo is breaking cannabis laws, the lenders will have the right to take action. Next, they also got another loan from Chicago Atlantic. On July 7, 2025, Vireo also made an agreement for another loan. This one involves Chicago Atlantic Opportunity Finance as the lender and Chicago Atlantic Admin LLC as the manager and security holder, and Chicago Atlantic Credit Advisors LLC as lead arranger. Scroll there, Chicago Atlantic Term Loan provides for ETICR. Principal amount screwed. The Chicago Atlantic Term Loan includes $33 million to be loaned, along with an additional $50 million available if both parties agree. Payments begin in November 2025, with 1% of the balance being paid each month. Whatever is left to pay, along with the interest, is due by October 2, 2020. They can also extend that date by a year if they pay an extra 1%. This loan's interest rate is based on United States prime rate, with a minimum of 7.5 and 20 plus an additional 5.5%. This second loan is backed by Vireo's assets, but it comes after the first loan in terms of priority. Vireo have also issued a $10 million convertible note, matures on October 2, 2028, but it can stretch another year if they pay an extra 1% fee. It has a cash interest rate based on the prime rate, but no less than 7.5 tier, and adds an extra 5% each year. Also, this may be converted into regular shares of Vireo with each share costing 0.6, and adds an extra 5% each year. Also, this may be converted into regular shares of Vireo with each share costing 0.625. What did the company use all this borrowed capital for? The company used the money to pay off old debts. Around $114 million went to paying off existing debts with Chicago Atlantic Admin LLC. Another $10 million was to pay off the prior loans. The company also refinanced the remainder of some additional credit agreements. Finally, any remaining money was used for transaction-related expenses. And here's a sweet perk for the top dogs. The company's Chief Executive Officer, John Mazarakis, and Chief Financial Officer, Tyson McDonald, will get bonuses for these deals. Mazarakis gets 0.8% and McDonald gets 0.4% of the debt that was refinanced over $60 million as long as the interest rate is less than 9.75%. Basically, all this borrowing creates a direct financial obligation for Vireo. The loans have to be paid back, and if they don't, it could lead to problems. Also, some of the stock was sold relying on rules that exempt it from needing to be registered with the SEC. This means they didn't have to go through the full registration process. The bonuses for the executives is included in this report. The company also issued press releases with this information. If you want to see their announcements, you can check out the linked press releases. .QLeague and Mao, looking at these deals more broadly, Vireo is clearly making big moves to restructure its debt. By refinancing, the company aims to improve its financial flexibility for the future. There are a few things to keep an eye on. First, how the cannabis market performs will greatly affect their revenue and ability to repay all these loans. The interest rates are another factor, as rate increases could make their debt more expensive. The agreements depend on things like state and federal laws about cannabis, which can and do change. John Mazarakis, Vireo's chief executive officer, is a partner of Chicago Atlantic Group, which presents a conflict of interest. So what's the takeaway from this financial deep dive? It appears Vireo had a big pile of debt which they were able to refinance. This buys them time, but they are still highly leveraged and dependent on the cannabis industry. Alright, that's our breakdown of Vireo's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.